adaptations in various ecosystems. And this will not discuss all the topics. We'll discuss only those important topics. Why? Not all means all those topics which are a little tough to understand, like cactus you learned before, no need, or again, camel you know before, no need. Such things will not discuss again. Which are new to you this year, that those things we'll discuss now, right? So, adaptations are change in structural, behavior, physiological. Physiology means functional. It can be any change to adjust to surroundings. To adjust to surroundings. I'll say you example for these all. Structural changes. Now let us take structural changes. Example, cactus, leaf is modified to spines and stem is modified to broader leaf-like structures. It is a structural change to store lot of water. Behavioral change. Organisms like cockroach, when they are exposed to sunlight, immediately they move to a shady place. Okay, that is you take the earthworm. When they are exposed to sunlight, they move to a shady place. Or frog, when its skin dries off, it jumps into water. These are all behavioral changes. Changes in behavior to adjust to surroundings, to survive in the surroundings. Changes in physiology. When you go out in hot sun, what happens? Melanin is secreted by your skin. So it is a functional change. If functional change occurs, we are protected from harmful sun rays. Okay. So changes can be in structure, behavior, or function. Function, psychology, physiology means function. Any of this change to adjust to surrounding is called as adaptation only, right? So adaptation in mangroves. Mangrove plants are those plants which live in marshy areas. In marshy areas, root respiration is not possible. If root respiration, this is that marshy soil. Marshy soil means burda burda it will be. You can call in Telugu burda. In English, the same thing is called as marshy. Right? So these plants, when they grow, their roots can't respire. So what these plants do, they grow the roots above the soil like this. Their roots are partially above the soil, partially below the soil. After this, their branches will arise all. So this type of roots are called as aerial roots, or knees, or pneumatophores, and one more name is there, breathing roots. Any name you call, it is same. Some of the plants develop the roots like this. Above the soil, it grows like this. The roots will extend outside like this. Or they are also aerial roots only. They are also breathing roots only. So this is the adaptation that is seen in plants which grow in marshy areas. Next, desert adaptations. In desert adaptations, we are not speaking about cactus and camel. Other organisms like baobab tree. Baobab tree is a tree which has a very huge trunk. Like a palm tree, it has a very huge trunk and leaves are somewhere above the ground at a great height. So this plant can store a lot of water in its trunk. So this is one of the adaptations to store water. Next, do you know about pebble plants? These pebble plants are found in desert areas. They look like pebbles. They are not green in color. There is a small slit. Through this, sunlight enters and it is able to make its own food. That's all. Right? Outside to see, it looks like a colorful stone. It's not like a plants. These leaves are swollen to store water. Swollen leaves to store water. This type of plants are called pebble plants. Animals will not eat these plants thinking that they are pebbles. That is their adaptation. Okay, rattlesnake. Rattlesnake is also a desert organism. When it is crawling, it has a rattle at the end of its body. That's why it's called as rattlesnake. It makes sound with the help of the rattle that is present at the end of body. It makes some sound. Rattle means when small children are crying, they'll make sound with the help of a instrument. They'll shake it like that. It makes sound. That is called as rattle. Same like that. This one also, when snake shakes, its sound will come. That is to attract its prey. Any animals, for killing any animals, it will attract by the sound. Okay. So this snake will not touch the ground when it is going forward. This part will touch the ground. This will be above ground. This will touch the ground. This will be. So when it is crawling like this, here it will touch. Here it will raise the body. It will touch. It will raise the body. It will not touch entire body on the ground to protect itself from the harmful heat rays of the sand. Certain organisms like kangaroo rat. The kangaroo rat is an organism which does not drink water in its entire life. It will not sweat, no sweating, no urine formation, nothing like that. When it is eating nuts, it has why it is called as kangaroo pouch. It has pouch here. Here it has a pouch to store extra nuts. Okay, on the side of the cheek it has pouch, like kangaroo has pouch. But this pouch is used to keep nuts. So when it eats nuts, whatever water is there in that nuts, that it uses. Because no sweating and no urination, that some amount of water is enough for its digestion and other purposes. Okay. What are most of the desert organisms are nocturnal. They are awake during the night time. They hunt during night time. They are active during night time. In the daytime, they sleep. After the sun's rays are falling on their body, they fall asleep. Okay, they have that adaptation. Okay, so in that way they protect themselves. You take the mole. Mole is a desert rat. It crawls underground. If this is a sand, it crawls under the ground and it grows. Under the ground, sand is somewhat moist. Water is there in that soil, sand. Top layers will be very dry, but under layers, because of underground water, they are somewhat wet. So they are able to survive in the that moist condition during that night time, during that daytime, and when they found any prey at that time, they come outside in the night time. Okay, so that is the adaptation which is found in desert organisms. Next, adaptations, aquatic adaptations. You know, there are some in aquatic plants, all plants will not float. Some plants like what is the name of this plant? Acacia, not acacia. I don't remember the name of this plant. Okay, we'll take Wolfia, Pistia wolfia, or plants that float on the water. They have roots above the soil. This type of plants have waxy leaves. Waxy leaves means leaves have waxy coating, they are not spoiled. And the plants which are inside the water are example hydrilla. These are submerged plants. They are submerged plants. Submerged plants. These are floating plants. And we know one more plant, that is it has leaves here, flower will be here, and its root is fixed on the lower soil. This type of plants are called fixed plants. Example, lotus, water lily. These plants have hollow stems that help them to float. And leaves have stomata on the upper side. Stomata usually they are present on the lower side of the leaf. But for these plants, stomata is present on upper side. Stomata on upper side. And they have also waxy leaves. Leaves have waxy coat that protects them from rotting. The plants like hydrilla, their leaves are very thin. Why very thin? When any currents, air, water currents are, when there are any water currents, that means movement of water. They should not wash away along with the water. They should allow water to pass through these tiny, tiny leaves. So that is why they are like spiny, very spiny. Whatever hydro is also somewhat fat, you can think. Like this, it is spiny. This type of plant. It allows water to pass through it easily. It can take carbon dioxide directly from water, dissolved carbon dioxide it can take from water, and it can release oxygen directly into water. And moreover, hydrilla is a plant which can survive any temperature, any climatic condition. So these are the adaptations of water plants, aquatic plants. And if you see microscopic organisms that live in water, they are called as, they float on water. These organisms which float on water are two types: zooplankton, phytoplankton. They are all unicellular only. Zooplankton have no chlorophyll, they depend on plants for their foods. Phytoplankton have chlorophyll and they make their own food. That's the difference. And among these organisms, there are oil drops in cells. Oil droplets are present in cells. These oil droplets help them float. So they are used as biofuel also. Since oil droplet is present in them, that oil can be extracted and used as biofuel. That is how plants survive in the water. Next, organisms like whale, dolphin, or mammals. So they have lungs for respiration. They cannot breathe in water. What do? They come to the surface of water to breathe, and once they breathe, they'll go inside. What is the mechanism that is present inside their body for this is when they breathe, air enters into lungs. Okay? When air is present in lungs, they will be able to float. They'll move this air that is present into lungs into muscles. When this air enters into muscles, muscles become very heavy. When their body becomes heavy, they come to the bottom of the sea. Okay? When air enters into muscles, their body becomes heavy, they come to bottom of sea. When air moves from muscles to lungs, their body becomes very lightweight. Why? Because some bag-like structure which is filled with air, lungs. So this helps them to float. If some air is there inside the body, it is easy to float. So when lungs are filled with air, they float. When muscles are filled with air, they go down. This adaptation is seen in all mammals, whales, dolphins, all those mammals which live in water. Okay, other organisms like fishes, how do they float? They have floaters. Swim bladders. Swim bladders. These are also called as floaters. Okay. When they exchange their air between floaters and bloods. When swim bladder is filled with air, they are able to float. When this air enters into blood, they go down, they drown in deep layers. They go into deep layers. Okay. So this is the adaptation that is seen in fishes for swimming. Next. Salinity adaptation, salt water adaptation. Salt water adaptation. whether it is a saltwater fish or freshwater fish. Let us assume concentration of marine water is high. Concentration of fresh water is this one. So this is high concentration, this is low concentration. All the fishes, whether they live in fresh water or salt water, their concentration is between these two. Average of these two concentrations. That is between the concentration of marine water and concentration of fresh water. But difference in fishes which live in fresh water and marine water are, see, in case of freshwater fish, body concentration is low, outside concentration is high. So water will move from here to here. So they have, their kidneys are, water will move out. So their kidneys will take salt. When water is going out, salt intake will decrease. So their kidneys will take salt and more water. Sorry, release salt. Because water has salt in it. This water is more salty than its body, so it need to release salt. And it takes more water. Okay, when concentration inside its body is low compared to the outside concentration, water will go outside, and this is because of osmosis. You have already learned about osmosis, that's why I'm not elaborating this point here. From low concentration to high concentration region, water moves, that is osmosis. When water moves outside, this fish will take more water and its kidney release salt. This water has more concentration, so kidneys will release that excess salt and it keeps on taking more water. When it comes to freshwater fish, it has more concentration in body compared to outside. Water moves into the body. So what it will do, its kidney will release more water and retain salts. Retain salts. Whatever salts are there in urine, it will store in the body. Only water, more water will be released. That is the adaptation. Only kidneys are different for these two. Kidneys are different for these two, right? In that way, fishes maintain their salt water concentration inside the water. Temperature adaptations. Organisms have adaptations for temperature also. You take example of organisms like polar organisms. Polar organisms have one, thick hair like polar bear, or thick skin like penguin, and thick fat under their skin, which is called as blubber. If more fat is there, more it protects from, it saves the heat inside. Fat is a substance which acts as an insulator and helps in retaining whatever heat is there in the body, it is retained inside the body. Okay, that is the advantage of fat. And most of them have antifreeze protein. Antifreeze, all of them will not have. Only some organisms have. Most of them will have antifreeze protein in blood. So these are the things that are present in the organism's body to protect themselves from this cold conditions. Some of the organisms like polar bear undergoes winter sleep. Winter sleep means when the winter is very cold, for thus 3 months, it goes underground and sleeps inside the soil where it is warm. Okay, lower layers will be warm in case of polar regions. Lower layers will be warm compared to the upper layers because Earth's core has hot heat, magma, everything. So inner layers will be hotter than the outside polar ice that is present. So as a result, what happens? It can protect itself from this cold winter, and this process is called as hibernation. Hibernation. During this hibernation, A slight heartbeat is there, that's all. Remaining all functions will be just very low, or they are not functioning. No urine formation, no digestion, no circulation of substances in the body. Only circulation is very low. Circulation is low. Digestion, urination, all this will not be functioning. So it can save its energy. Whatever blubber is there in its body, it will use that for 3 months and it will survive for that 3 months. After that, it comes out. The same thing is done by animals which live in hot climatic conditions like frog. This is called as summer sleep. They sleep in summer, and this summer sleep is called as estivation. Estivation is summer sleep, hibernation is winter sleep. Not only animals, plants also have adaptations for their climate change. Those plants which are living in evergreen forest have no adaptations. They are green throughout the year. Evergreen forest means plants which have leaves throughout the year. They do not shed their leaves. So for them, though, no adaptations. But deciduous plants or those plants which shed their leaves seasonally. Okay, if they are living in summer hot area, if they are living in hot area, their leaves will shed. They shed their leaves before summer. Before summer. Why? In summer water is not available. If more transpiration loss is there, they cannot survive. To avoid this, they shed their leaves before summer in spring season. Okay, those plants which are living in cold climatic conditions shed their leaves before winter. Shed their leaves before winter. Why? In winter water is completely frozen. They will not have any water to survive. That is why they shed their leaves before winter. And we can see that pine plants are those plants which are found in polar regions. They are conical like this. If any snow falls over this, it will fall down. This helps it to survive in cold climatic conditions. If it is holding all the cold ice over that plant, if the plant is like this, like a normal mango tree, assume how much amount of snow will deposit over this, lot of snow. But this conical shape helps it to avoid that cold snow depositing over it. In that way, it protects itself from that cold climatic conditions. So that is about adaptations in different climatic conditions. And what else is remaining? So we have to discuss about layers of what are the layers of marine ecosystem? Ocean water zones, marine zones of marine water. Marine water zones there are 3 zones: abyssal zone, bathyal zone, and euphotic zone. So first zone is euphotic zone. Next comes euphotic zone means bright, very sunlight is very good. Bathyal zone, dim light zone. And last one is abyssal zone, which is dark zone. Okay. Here there is sunlight can penetrate this area. Here only twilight, light sunlight is there. Here it is dark. Okay. What is you can say that this is brightly lit zone, dim lit zone. Next one is dim lit zone. Next one is dark zone. And what is the temperature here? More than 30 degrees Celsius. Okay. Here in case of this bathyal zone, it can be as low as 4 degrees Celsius, or in hot summer season it is as high as 39 degrees Celsius. In case of abyssal zone, minimum temperature is 2 degrees Celsius. When it is very hot also it is only 3, very light difference. Okay. What is the range of these zones is 0 to 200 meters, and bathyal zone is 200 meters to 2000 meters, and abyssal zone is 2000 meters to 6000 meters, deepest zone. Okay, what are the organisms that you can find in this area? In case of euphotic zone, you can find organisms like planktons. We have discussed about planktons already. You can also find flying fishes. Flying fishes are those fishes which can fly up to 200 meters. Flying fish, you can find dolphins, not sharks. Dolphins you can find, and turtles, etc. And in bathyal zone, you can find whales, lantern fish. Lantern fish is a fish which has a small lantern in front of it. If you have seen, uh, I don't remember the name of that. Okay, you can. It has a hanging lantern here. Simply, the lantern will be hanging there. It is a bioluminescence organ that is hanging. Okay, you can find the echinoderms like sea cucumber. You can find here algae like red kelp. Okay, and you can also find sponges, octopus, corals, squids, corals, octopus, sponges, etc. in this area. What about abyssal zone? Abyssal zone is the zone which is in the deeper layers. So here, what are the organisms that are found? You can find here mm, tripod fish, angular fish, brittle star, are some of the organisms that are found in this layer. Okay, so that is about the zones of marine ecosystem. And next, zones of freshwater ecosystem. Freshwater ecosystem also has three zones: uh, littoral zone, limnetic zone, and profundal zone. Littoral zone, second one; limnetic zone, and third one, profundal zone. In case of marine water, we saw that first three layers are like this: 0 to 200, 200 to 2000, 2000 to 6000. But in fresh water, it is not like this. Freshwater zones are slightly different. Their arrangement is slightly different from a marine water ecosystem. So the freshwater ecosystems are divided like this. This region is called as littoral zone. This region is called as limnotic zone. And this region is called as profundal zone. This zone is usually very like, it's not clear because this is the shore region and the water is mixing. Fresh water is not clear water like salty water. Salty water, you can see transparent, it is transparent because mostly sand is there, sand settles down very fast. But in case of this uh, fresh water, fresh water is very, it's not, you can see sea water is very clear. All the sand particles will settle down fastly. Clearly, you can see that water is transparent when you go to seashore. But in case of this fresh water, it is not clear. All the water will be very filled with soil. You cannot, it's not transparent, opaque. Okay. So organisms that are found in a littoral zone are, you can find clams, you can find insects, crustaceans. Littoral zone has clams. Clams means which open like this. Shelled creatures which can open like this. You can find crustaceans like crabs, crustaceans, insects you can find. And coming to plants, the plants that are found in this area are Vallisneria, grass-like water plant. Vallisneria, you can find water lily, you can find mosses, water lily, you can find hydrilla, etc. That is about littoral zone. Next, limnatic zone is comparatively transparent. This is a border region. More movement of organisms will be there here. So this, though, are animals like which try to go inside, like snakes, frogs, whichever have to go inside, cranes, they'll reach this water. This is very marshy. Compared to this, it is clear. Top layer, that's why it's clear. Here again, it will not be clear. Okay. So the organisms which are found in this limnatic zone are transparent creatures like Daphnia. Daphnia is a transparent creature that is found here. Cyclops, you can find this also. You can find plants like water hyacinth. Water hyacinth. These are floating plants that you can find here. Pistia wolfia, Pistia wolfia, water hyacinth are some of the plants that are found here. Okay. So in these two regions, floating this photosynthetic activity is possible, littoral zone as well as limnatic zone. But in profundal zone, it is dark zone. So in profundal zone, there is no photosynthetic activity or minimum photosynthetic activity. Okay. In case of profundal zone, we can see that mostly there are predators. Herbivores are not possible here because there are no plants in this region, profundal region, no plants. So we can find all uh, crustaceans, predators, which hunt other organisms and live. No photosynthetic activity is seen in this region. You can, so there are no plants in this region. And you can find some of the saprophytes, decomposers like bacteria. These are found in this profundal region. It is a dark region, no photosynthesis. Right, so that is about the layers of freshwater ecosystem, children.